Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, today we continue in our very, distantly dispersed episodes of A Christmas Carol on 12-inch 78 RPM records. We did this last Christmas, part 1, and this is a series of 12-inch 78 shellac records. They are heavy, they are huge, but they're in surprisingly good condition. I got this for a gift. It's very special, a couple years ago. And so without further ado, we've got the old crank-up phonograph here, the 1917 Vita-Nola. And pretty simple to operate. Got a brand new steel needle in there, so it's nice and sharp. Ideally, you want to have a new stylus or a new needle on there for every side of a record you play. So there's a little cut for new ones and then for used ones. Some of them you can stretch a little bit more than that, but that's a good rule of thumb. We're going to go ahead and release the brake. And it should be enough crank to get us through the entire side. So without further ado, here we go.
His nephew left the room without an angry word notwithstanding. He stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season upon the clock, who, cold as he was warmer than Scrooge, for he returned them heartily. There's another feller, my clock, with 15 shillings a week and a wife and family to provide for, talking about a Merry Christmas. I retired to Bedlam. This lunatic, in letting Scrooge's nephew out, had let 2 other people in. They were portly gentlemen who had books and papers in their hands and bowed to Scrooge. Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the honor of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley? Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. He died 7 years ago, this very night. At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable to make some slight provision for the poor and destitute who suffer greatly at the present time. Are there no prisons? Plenty of prisons, but under the impression that they can scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the unoffending multitude, a few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for? Nothing. Oh, you wish to be anonymous. I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the institutions I have named. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there. Many can't go there. Many would rather die. Well, if they'd rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Good afternoon, gentlemen. At length the hour for closing up the counting house arrived. With an ill will, Scrooge dismounted from his stool and tacitly admitted the fact to the expectant clerk in the tank, who immediately stuffed his candle out and put on his hat. You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose. If quite convenient, sir. It's not convenient. That's not fair. If I was to stop a half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound. Yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work. Christmas only comes once a year, sir. It's a poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all early next morning. The clerk promised that he would, and Scrooge walked out to the ground. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, then went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. They were a gloomy suite of rooms in a lowering pile of building up a yard. The house was old enough now, and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, all the other rooms being let out as offices. Now, it is a fact, there was nothing particular about the knocker on that door, except that it was very large. Also that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence in that place. Also that Scrooge had as little of what is called fancy about him as any man in the city of London. And then let anyone tell me how it was that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of that door, saw in the knocker, not a knocker, but Marley's face. Marley's face, with a dismal light about it, like a bad lobster in a dark cellar. As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was a knocker again. So he said, "Poof, poof," and closed the door with a bang. He fastened the door and walked across the hall and up the stairs, slowly too, trimming his candle as he went.
All right, and that is the end of the side. I think it's amazing. Apply the brake there. Sometimes this brake will come, it doesn't have a whole lot of play in it, so sometimes this brake will loosen in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden this thing, you'll just hear this rumbling. It's quite terrifying. But anyway, I thought you guys might think that was interesting to listen to. Again, I don't know if or when we'll get through the whole series. There's like 10 different faces. Perhaps we will one day, but it's fun to listen to some spoken word. It's fun to be able to play an entire record for you guys. And isn't it amazing how short, I mean, we got about 5 minutes on a 12-inch record compared to like 20 minutes on a 12-inch LP vinyl. Isn't that amazing? It's spinning so fast, and it's modulated in such a way that you really need a big record even for 5 minutes. But the sound was amazing. The spring was holding good tension. This unit is really in good condition. As you can see, I dusted it off a little bit there. I missed a little bit in the corner, dang it. But you need a little cleaning. I figured it was a good time to work on it. But anyway, there you go, guys. Hope you thought that was interesting. Tell me below if you have an antique phonograph. Really blessed to find this one. I view it as, it's been around for 100 years, and I view myself as a steward of it. You know what I mean? Like, I own it now, and then it will surely go on to somebody else eventually. And that's good. That's awesome. It's such a quality item that it just lasts centuries. It's amazing. So anyway, that's going to do it for today, guys. Happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow.